supposed to make you uncomfortable. So I don't want you to feel like you can come into our neighborhoods and just do whatever you want to do and then go back to your neighborhoods. And now my neighborhood is disgruntled at you, but they're mad at me too because I wear the same uniform.
You bring up a very important point, because one of the challenges we have here in the city of New Orleans was an ordinance that was passed a few years ago, and let's see the year I'm thinking about, I think it was 2012, thereabouts, 2012, 2013, was relaxing the residency requirement for police officers to have to live in Orleans Parish. You have that on the one hand, so you have folks, and I'm going to go on and say this because we amongst family, you're going to an interesting parish tomorrow to have this conversation, because St. Bernard Parish is a very interesting parish. Araby has us, but St. Bernard Parish has a history of being a very interesting parish. Jefferson Parish as well. It's like, it's very much like this reality that you find in urban settings. Atlanta, the big chip that sits in the middle of the cookie. New Orleans, big old chip in the middle of the cookie. Houston, chip, cookie. But you have these folks that are coming from spaces where you don't live next to anybody that looks like me, so you can't relate to me. But then you also have the situation where there was a decision made by the previous mayor to partner with the state police to provide extended coverage for the French Quarter. And then that started to bleed into other areas. And one of the stories I talk about all the time is a very good friend of mine, community activist, former president of one of the neighborhood associations, Troy Glover. Troy Glover was pulled over because he was a black man with dreads. He was pulled over by the state police in St. Roch, the neighborhood that he's a neighborhood association president of. And he said to him, Troy said, if you knew this neighborhood, you know I'm not who you're looking for. I'm the president of the neighborhood association. And the cop, who was white, said, I don't care about that. You fit the description. And so it's interesting that you would talk about this thing where people are coming from other, I don't know what the residency requirement is where you were, but when you come even from a different neighborhood into our neighborhood to police, bringing your biases with you, causing a mess, and then you, a resident of the neighborhood, these are your people, then the stink rubs off on you.
That's right. And I live in East Police Department. I worked for East Cleveland and Warrensville. I have enough integrity. I moved in both neighborhoods I worked in because I knew it was going to keep me with my integrity intact, because I have to. I go to the same grocery store these people go to. Mm-hmm. I see people I arrest. Hey, Officer Jones. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm saying my kids go to school with some of their children, so it's almost like a family thing. So when I hear them come to me and complain about certain officers, they would be like, and I would know who it is. And I'm saying, I know the higher ups know this is going on. Nobody's doing anything about it. Why? Because they're writing 20, 30 tickets a night.
Right.
So you excited about that, but you know that these are the same officers that's being disrespectful to your community because of the color of their skin. So I feel like if you make your officers live in the city they police, they gonna change a lot of things. Probably be a lot of them quitting too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to live.
I don't say the excuse because that's accusatory, but the reason that was given for relaxing the residency requirement was we can't recruit enough good candidates. And they relaxed the residency requirement. It's been 4 years now, and they still have a problem with recruiting good candidates. There was actually a story that broke a few months ago that the psychological exams of some of the people that made it through academy were questionable. So I don't know. But you've brought in a lot of light to the conversation. Talk a little bit about the book signing tomorrow and the book in general and what folks can expect out of this book. Don't tell what's in it.
Okay.
But just tell, what was the impetus behind writing the book and what people can expect from it?
After I got so many letters, I mean, like I said, I got letters from all over the world. And to see that this was just not a United States problem. This is going on in Africa. I mean, their police is way worse than ours. I mean, so I'm like, this is really a serious problem. And like I said, I love being a law enforcement officer. I'm going to tell y'all that right now. That was my passion. I loved it. I went out every day not knowing if I was coming home or not, but I love giving back to my community. That's the way I felt like this is what God put in me to give back. So I love doing that. So in the book, it talks about my life, why I became an officer. So it's in there. Everybody's been asking. It talks about, you're going to see I'm not a suburbanite. You're going to see I grew up just like everybody else in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
It also tells you about my divide and how it feels to be a police officer and also an African-American woman of 2 African-American sons.
Mm-hmm.
And then it tells you I have some letters in there for my African-American brothers and sisters. And it also is a lot. It's so much in this book that, I mean, you can pull so much from this book. I mean, you're going to see the side of a police officer. So because a lot of people trust me, they may be open to open their hearts a little bit and see, okay, I'll listen to a cop, all right. But then I'm hoping that some people that are I'm totally police, nobody's wrong, but they see the other side, hearing from a mother's heart,
Mm-hmm.
and how we feel as African Americans that we're targeted. When I take my uniform off, I'm an African American female. You pull me over, you treat me the same exact way. So that's why it bothers me when I hear other white officers say to me, and some of them may not have been trying to be derogatory, I'm sick of hearing about Black Lives Matter. So are you saying my life only matters when I'm in this uniform? But I work beside you every day.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure you go home to your family too.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying my son's life don't matter? Where are we going with this? And I think a lot of times officers don't realize what they're saying and how it's affecting, you know what I'm saying, the whole group.
The book is The Truth Divided. The author is Nakia Jones, Officer Nakia Jones, Mrs. Nakia Jones. You can check her out tomorrow at 2 p.m. at La Perrier Event Space, and that is at 7420 West Judge Perez, Suite B, and that is in Arabi, Louisiana. The book will be available for sale tomorrow. So you can meet her over there, greet her, and get your book signed and hear a bit of her story. If you can't make it, I got a bunch of information for you. You can order the book online at www.bookventure.com. You can also call 877-267-9751. Again, that is www.bookventure.com, or call 877-276-9751. You can also find her on Instagram at Officer Nakia, and it's spelled N as in Nancy, A-K-I-A, Jones Cleve, that's C-L-E-V-E. That is her Instagram account, Officer Nakia Jones Cleve. And then she's also on Facebook as Officer Nakia Jones. Hashtags are I'm Woke, The Truth Divided, Officer Nakia Jones, and Bridge the Gap. You have made my Friday. You really have. And like I said, I was going to say it more than once. Thank you for having the courage to stand and say something and putting your self in a space of vulnerability. To have the courage to be one of those officers that do what we encourage folks to do all the time, and that's stand up and say something. And I wish you continued blessings, and I'm going to do what I can do based on that conversation we had before to expose you and put you in spaces where other folks can learn about you.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's Friday. We have had a great show today. Again, thank you so much to Officer Nakia Jones. Thank you to Carrie Nix, who was here telling us the truth with the lens, and me, and Kevin. Kevin called too. Thanks for giving us a call. This has been Real Talk with Rachel on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming live at WBOK1230am.com. I am Rachel Graham. You know how we do on Friday nights at 6 o'clock. It's time for the Misbelief Weekday Lounge extended version. That's right, you got a full hour of New Orleans' best homegrown music, being brought to you by the Arsenio, I always mess this up, the Millennial Arsenio DC Paul. And after that hour, he will come to you with the Misbelief Weekday Lounge. I'm getting out of here. You know the rule. It's Friday night. Go do something nice for somebody, starting with me. If you can find me, go buy me a drink. Have a good night.